Welcome to biology class. So today we will talk about viruses. It's a short topic. We're not going to go into like a super detailed account of what viruses are and what do they do. Just a brief introduction to viruses. All right. So first of all, you need to know that viruses cannot be seen. Cannot be seen with even light microscope. The only way to see or to observe them is through electron microscope. So they are much smaller than eukaryotic cells, even bacteria. So you cannot see them with light microscope. All right. Furthermore, viruses are considered to be acellular entities. All right. Acellular entities. All right. It means that they are not made up of cells. Not made of cells. Right? They don't have cells. They don't have organelles like mitochondria, like ribosomes. So they don't have any kind of biosynthetic machinery. Right? So what are they made up of? All right? Let's talk about their structures. Viral structures. So every virus is acellular, doesn't made it's not made up of cells. So it's a nucleoprotein particle. What does that mean? The word nucleo means nucleic acid. Nucleic acid. Right? Proteins, you already know what are proteins, right? So, which are basically polypeptide chains. Made up of amino acids. Now, in terms of nucleic acids, it's either DNA or RNA, but it can never be both. So remember that. The nucleic acid, DNA or RNA, is also called viral genome. It contains all the genetic information of viruses, right? Whereas you can say it contains all the replication information for viruses, right? Whereas the polypeptide chain makes the protein coat, also called capsid. Now the shape of the virus depends on the capsid. Capsid decide shape of virus, and viruses exist in different shapes. Rod shape, it could be tadpole with a head and tail, it could be spherical, conical. So viruses could exist in different shapes, and those shapes are decided by the proteins. So these two parts, number one, nucleic acid, and number two, proteins. must be present. These two components must be present in every virus. Now, some viruses might have, some viruses, not all of them, right, might have an envelope which is derived from host cell membrane. So what happens when viruses, mature viruses, are leaving the host cell? Some of them wrap around a piece of the host membrane. They pick up a piece of host membrane and use that piece of host membrane as a wrapping or as an envelope around themselves. Okay, some of them do that. For example, HIV does that. Human immunodeficiency virus, the virus that causes AIDS, is enveloped virus. It has an envelope, right? So you need to be mindful of that. Now, knowing all of that, viruses are not cellular. They are not made up of cells. They don't have biosynthetic machinery. They don't have ribosomes, mitochondria, nucleus, etc. So on basis of that, but they do have DNA or RNA plus proteins. So on the basis of that, we considered viruses are considered in between living and non-living organisms or non-living things. Okay, so some characteristics of viruses are like living. Okay, for example, you might ask, which are those characteristics? For example, they have a genome. Number two, they can replicate and produce similar copies. They can infect cells. They can undergo mutations. And non-living characteristics are basically non-living characteristics are like they don't do, there's no metabolism. So there are no reactions going on in the viruses when they are outside host cell. Number two, outside the host cell, they are just like crystals. They behave like crystals. When outside host cell, right? So number three, no cells. They don't have cells. So in the beginning, we decided that almost all living things are made up of cells. Viruses are not made up of cells. So these are some of the characteristics which make them like non-living things, and there are some characteristics which make them like living things or living organisms. So they are considered in between. So how would you define viruses? So you can say viruses are obligate intracellular parasite. So I saw this definition in another book. So obligate means that they would only grow inside the host cell, right? So parasite, you know the definition of parasite? These are the organisms which that live in or maybe on host body get benefit from them, maybe food, maybe biosynthetic machinery, help with replication, and in return harm them. So these are the characteristics of a parasite. All right. Intracellular means that all of these parasites, all of their host are cells, right? They parasitize cells, or you can say they only replicate inside very specific host cell. So tobacco mosaic virus is the first virus that was visualized by W. Stanley in 1935. Now, tobacco mosaic virus only infect tobacco plant or maybe related plants. It would not infect animals, or it would not infect, or it would not enter bacteria. So these are highly specific to their host and only replicate inside the host cell. That's why called intracellular. Intra means inside the cells, right? Furthermore, obligate. What's the meaning of obligate? Obligate means that you cannot grow them outside the host cell, right? Only grow in, or only replicate in host and not artificially. It's not like there's another category of parasites which are called facultative parasites. You can grow them inside the host cells, or you just provide them with food and they would start growing. Okay, they're not like 100% dependent on the host, but these are 100% dependent on the host. Let's try to draw a generalized structure of viruses. Okay, let's assume this is the protein coat of a virus. Let's say this is HIV virus. So this is protein coat. Here are two copies of the RNA or messenger RNA. Viruses can have some enzymes. So these are enzymes of viruses. Apart from that, viruses can have envelope. Right? So let's say this is the envelope of virus. Some of them might have these protein spikes on their envelope, which help them to enter the host. Okay, so let's label it. So this is capsid, protein capsid. Right? This is envelope obtained from the host membrane. This is the genome. These are some of the enzymes which virus would use for the replication. This is the genome, right? So genome, in this case, it's made up of RNA copies, 2 copies of RNA. This is not double-stranded RNA. This is 2 copies, separate copies of RNA. Okay, and these are some of the surface proteins. Okay, you can say this is a surface protein. They look like spikes, so you can call them spikes, protein spikes. They help in the attachment to the host cells or entry into the host cell. So that's an overall generalized structure. So this capsid looks like a cone. Sometimes in different viruses, the capsid might have a spherical shape, or a rod shape, or spiral shape, maybe tadpole like a head and tail, right? So capsid can have different shapes. So that's all about viruses. If you have any questions, let me know and we can discuss it. Tomorrow or in the next video, probably we would discuss about, let's talk about plants in the next video. So Take care.